All right, everybody. It looks like we are live. So it is 9 o'clock our time here. It is 12 a.m. probably on the East Coast. Let's get this thing started for this late night off the rails podcast. Got some great conversations tonight. Stems around a nostalgic favorite. We'll do GameStop. We also have some other things being spoken about in the land of leaks when it comes to Xbox partnering and making a couple deals with some select individuals. And we also have Ubisoft once again. It's like Ubisoft is on a teeter-totter. 1 minute they're doing great, the next minute they're trying to piss people off. So it's definitely a back and forth battle with Ubisoft. And then finally, we'll get into kind of covering a little bit of what's coming out. There's actually a lot coming out, whether you're a Game Pass subscriber or a gamer in general, and you just buy whatever appeals to you. There is stuff for everybody. But let's just dive right into our first subject, which let's face it. We all remember those times of yesteryear, standing in line, smelling sweaty body odor, just talking to anybody and everybody about video games and realizing that there's a large percentage of people in this line that you're standing in that have not showered or have yet to really discover the benefits of deodorant.
Or girlfriends.
Oh my God, yes.
Possible.
Or wait, we were definitely younger. Definitely, it was also like a sea of acne because we were like in
That's
those
true.
lines when we were held, dude. I remember. So obviously,
those were the days.
Yes, the days of standing in a GameStop line, waiting for the next hotness to come out. And I still remember my first midnight release, which was for Halo 3. This was in like a small town called so check it out. Here in Arizona, at least the part I was living in, the closest GameStop was a 45-minute to an hour drive away in a town called Prescott because I lived in this little podunk freaking area in Arizona known as the Verde Valley. And like straight up, we get there and the whole mall is shut down. And they have the Prescott Police Department there, like somehow guiding people in and out of the mall. But they have this huge line outside. They had no idea that this many people were going to show up for Halo 3. And essentially, some punk kid decided to start screaming they're out of games as a joke. I have never seen an officer look like he was going to grab a kid by the throat until that day. And he literally he reached out for that kid and that kid's eyes was like, oh God. And he like, that officer's like, don't you ever do that again. And like, and this wasn't like, Johnny Law in a uniform, like, I'm just here because my department told me. This was one of the detectives. The dude is standing there in like full dress clothes and he's got a badge on his hip. And like, you could just tell that this was not your average patrol officer. This was straight up somebody that literally could change your life. And so,
that's
he wanted
funny.
to grab that kid and choke him so bad. Oh man. But at least for me, that was my exposure to like literally how crazy GameStop could be. How about you, Mickey? Like, what's your like fondest memory of a GameStop, or like when you remember standing in line?
Yeah, none of them are fond because standing in the line sucked, especially when you had to stand in line for 2 to 3 hours. But it does just bring things back though, because it was still kind of a cool time. When you used to buy games and you did stand in the line. Whether you liked it or not, it's still cool and it's reminiscent. But I can't even remember the last game I tried getting from there that I stood in line for. It may have very well been Skyrim, but I can't remember 100%. So I'm 47 years old. I don't have a great memory. So
what about Battlefront?
Shish.
Battlefront 2, the one we play every night. Because me and you, we bought.
Dude, I can barely remember yesterday.
Well, guys, you'll hear it live. Mickey's gonna be slowly on the decline as as the days go by on this show. One day he's just gonna be like, "Where am I at?
Who are you?
Who are you? How did I get here?" Well, I guess the whole reason why I bring it up is for those who don't really during the pandemic, there was a situation where this guy called Roaring Kitty on what was Twitter at the time, now it's X. And so this dude literally somehow created this FOMO around GameStop stock. And he was able to take it was weird. Like before this FOMO, you could buy like GameStop stock for like $5. Like GameStop stock was cheap. And then all of a sudden, this dude started creating the FOMO and created this like internet bubble of other people buying and selling GameStop stock that somehow caused GameStop stock to surge to the point where people who bought stock for $5 that had a shitload of shares were able to offload all those shares. And I actually heard that there was a couple people that I think there was one guy that made over $1 million. And like literally the FTC, I mean, not the FTC, the stock exchange and other financial institutions tried to basically say this was like some form of fraud in the stock exchange. And there's actually a movie about it now that I think like Seth Rogen and them are in. And that actually kind of like describes the events that like circled around this whole thing. And so like, long story short, a lot of people made money off of this FOMO that took place during the pandemic. And now here we are 2024 years later. And it's like FOMO has returned again. We're probably not going to let's just say the stock exchange learned its lesson from what happened, but so they're not going to let the craziness take place. Like they actually halted like the trading and selling of GameStop stock during that period of time because they realized what was going on. And it was like these guys were trying to undermine basically these stock exchange guys that do like hedge funds, and they were betting against GameStop folding. And by GameStop all of a sudden making a lot of money, a lot of these guys with hedge funds. So a lot of these rich dudes were losing money, and a lot of people that didn't have money were making money. And it was like nature in reverse, dogs and cats getting together, that whole spiel from Ghostbusters. Hell was breaking loose. And so they had to stop trading. Well, apparently there's a little bit of FOMO now. And apparently through the selling of stock and all this other stuff, GameStop was able to capitalize on what was referred to as a flurry of trading by selling $45 million to basically raise roughly $933 million. I really don't know how much like that's invested into GameStop as a whole, but it does seem like GameStop is now trying to play the same damn game to make some money for itself. Because let's face it, when we walk into GameStops, they are in a horrible state of decline. Like I'm not trying to, like, I feel bad for the employees that work there that have to push the subscriptions. I mean, like, you can tell, like, when the way some of the employees talk to you, it's like they honestly know that they're working for somebody shisty. And like, it's like they almost want to be like, I'm sorry for doing my job, but did you want this? Did you want that? And you could just tell even the employees, like, one of the big things I hear the employees talk about now is if you buy, PSA, don't buy brand new game consoles at GameStop. If you do, don't feed into the farce known as their warranty. So a while back, the new guy in charge of GameStop decided to change the terms of service and agreement when it comes to GameStop's warranty on consoles. If you buy a brand new console and that console messes up and breaks during the warranty period that you bought, they are going to replace your console with a used console. It's no longer like back in the day where you bought a new console, bought a warranty, console breaks, you get a brand new console. So apparently, I've heard a lot of employees at GameStop actually telling telling people like about this, warning them before they buy the consoles and the warranties, but also tell your friends about this one. So the other day in a GameStop, because I still go in there and I poke around at some of the physical stuff, I rescue Xbox 360 games out of GameStop. It's like me going to the dog pound and looking for the one that really needs help. That's what I do with Xbox 360 games. So while I was in there, I heard the guy tell a customer, I don't want you to do your warranty exchange at my store. And the customer asked him why. Because I have to give you a used console. The customer automatically was like, that's BS, blah, blah, blah. I bought a warranty. And he explained it to him. Yeah, the new guy in charge, this is what he did. He's like, but there's a loophole. So here's the loophole, guys. Tell your friends. You need to call around and find a GameStop that does not have used consoles on hand. Basically, you need to find the GameStop that is sold out of, like, if you have an Xbox Series X, you need to find the GameStop that is sold, and that has no more used Series X's laying around, or a PS5 or an Xbox Series S, whatever console you're trying to warranty exchange, you need to find the one GameStop that does not have your console in stock used. If they do, I guess the loophole is if they don't have a used console on hand to give you, they automatically have to give you a new console. So there's a tidbit that you could share with people. So that's where, like, this conversation here tonight is just to have a few, like a good 15, 20-minute discussion. We see what GameStop is trying to do. They're like grasping at straws, trying to stay relevant. We see them selling pop figures, t-shirts, everything under the sun. There's even, in my opinion, there's a little bit of an inkling of hope for GameStop because they've noticed like Best Buy and other retailers are starting to scale back selling physical movies. And I guess that a select few GameStops are part of this like entry program of starting to sell movies at GameStop. So I really do wonder how well that's going to work for them, because in my opinion, that would be filling a niche that a lot of other retailers are seemingly trying to pass up right now. Where other retailers are not wanting to sell physical movies, GameStop could fill that hole and maybe not try to fill their store with all this useless stuff like a Star Wars waffle maker or a Mario waffle maker. Don't get me wrong, they're fun for the first one that you buy, and then after that you'll never want another one. But it's like, Mickey, like, in your opinion, like you said, you haven't been to a GameStop in a while. You can't even remember what you bought last time. And it just comes down to, like, in your mind, is there anything GameStop can do at all? And please, guys in the chat, put something in the chat, let us know. But is there anything at all, Mickey, in your mind, that GameStop could do to make themselves stay relevant? Or do you think there's like not a snowball's chance in hell, and that literally they're like living on borrowed time?
I think it would be tough because, in the beginning, they were doing, they were doing the used thing, and it was very good, and obviously you could buy new too, when games came out, the midnight train thing. But it's almost it seems like that kind of setup has kind of run its course, which I think is, and plus the whole, when you turn in used stuff and they give you like insane, they lowball the hell out of you.
You just bought this game for $70 and they're offering you 10.
It's seriously, and I think that kind of turned people off too. And with the, with being able to purchase, games online, through the Xbox store, in example of the Microsoft Xbox, or I guess PlayStation 2, they can do it. But buying games online, I think that's just kind of, honestly, I think that's kind of taken over. There's still people, like yourself that like to buy the physical games, but it's just, I don't think there's enough of that, though, to really keep up. So
there's still some physical, like so last year GameStop did a couple buy two get one free deals, and I'm gonna say it, I went in there and I bought some like full price games, like buy two get one free, and I will say it, I do have a hefty amount of physical games running around here, and that's why I always say, I want the option to have physical, like I want the option for game consoles to always have a disc drive, not only for preservation reasons and being able to play older games, but also, I'm sorry, there is some games, like right now, you can, like, I thought about it, but I didn't do it, but you can go get the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1, for $30 at Walmart right now, and it's being sold for like 60, $70 on console. So there is instances where you can find physical cheaper than digital. Digital is obviously a lot more convenient, especially when you have a large library, because you imagine having all those games running around. But there is certain times where physical, look at games like Deadpool. That game's not available digitally right now. And that's an Xbox One game. I'm not even going back to Xbox 360. So
yeah, but the problem with this though is because games that you can that you can purchase through the store are more expensive, what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to keep putting out more physical games that are going to be less expensive? No, they're gonna keep putting them on the store.
Oh yeah,
because they want you to pay more money,
harder to come by.
And it's whether we want physical games to continue or not. It's not up to us. I mean, we can say, hey, we'd like that to continue, but whether they want to continue it or not, it's almost up to them whether that happens or not. Because I mean, the way of the online store and digital copies is it's picked up more steam than than the physical copies have. So
it has. It's just that you say that, like, we do have a little bit of, I would like to say the consumer has a small vote in it by voting with their wallet. But that's where nowadays, let's look at the big problem is, even if you buy a game physically, there's really nothing there other than the licenses on it. Like, they barely contain any info on the disc at all. And that's where, at least for me, I also look at the other end of the spectrum as, there's still places in the United States right now that have barely got decent internet, and having physical discs benefits people that don't have access to, because could you imagine having to download Elder Scrolls Online at 25 megabits a second?
But I mean, technically they could, that could be they could make, there could be rules that they make for that, as far as if there's another country that doesn't have the greatest of internet or whatever, they could, continue to sell, the hard copies or whatever there, but minimize the hard copies, say, in the United States.
Well, I'm not even talking about.
I don't know.
There's actually towns in the United States that just got 25 megabits a second.
Well, what I'm trying to say is digital copies seem to be more prevalent than doing physical copies.
No, definitely,
because of the way of or the cloud and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, even if there's other cities that don't have the greatest of internet, most of those cities are small cities. it's unfortunate, but they're not really going to sway towards those smaller cities, based on that. I don't think they would.
Well, for me, I'm just saying that there's a market out there for physical. That's where I'm not going to completely like axe it and say they need to cut it out. I would at least like to, say that there is a market for physical games. I would definitely say though, one of the big factors that really made digital extremely relevant was convenience. Especially like we were talking about, having to go stand in line for 2 or 3 hours. And then like the places you would go to buy games physically, let's be honest, at GameStop, it feels like you're going to a car lot where the guys are constantly trying to sell you everything under the sun. You go to Best Buy and it almost feels like they did when you go to Best Buy, it's almost like they don't like, oh great, you're one of those here for a video game. You know what I mean? Like let's face it, Best Buy already canned selling physical movies. We know they're going to can selling physical games eventually. It's like Best Buy only wants to sell like tablets, computers, maybe some actual game consoles, but you can tell like they don't really sell CDs in the stores anymore. They don't sell movies anymore. It's like they don't want to sell you the media that goes along with it. And like when it was just like you would always go in there and be like, oh, you're one of those types that want to physically own a game. And it's like, all right, whatever. They're the ones that are over here trying to be like streaming. And it's like, dude, if everybody streamed movies, there would be no reason for a home entertainment system or a home theater, because for starters, to have proper 4K image, you need to have a physical disc, and to also have proper audio, you need to have a physical disc because of bitrate, compression, and not only that, when you if you turn on if you go to stream a 4K movie at like 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody's getting off work and turning on their TVs because they're home from work and they're going to start cooking dinner and they're streaming music, watching TV, using the internet like a mother effer, they're basically creating a networking bottleneck, which means that you could potentially, while watching your show, go from 4K to 1080p to 720 back up to 4K. It moves up and down. Like I remember when I was watching the Fallout television show, I actually watched the HDR go in and out. And so stream is shared out. And that's where it's like I have to laugh at, like, if it wasn't for people that wanted to own physical media, there would be no point in having surround sound systems, or in this case, even 4K televisions, because the average person the most people that want 4K TVs want 4K images. And then they start realizing that oh crap, I'm having issues with achieving 4K because I'm streaming it. And then they slowly go down the rabbit hole of getting into physical media. And that's where I just feel like there's a niche for it. But I'm more along the lines of just with the conversation, we see GameStop trying to do all these things like grasp at straws, sell different stuff, sell collectibles. There was even talks about how GameStop wanted to turn itself into a hub where you can go play Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, where you guys had your deck builder community go in there and play deck building games. At this point, the question is, does GameStop at this point just need to, accept the fact that, at this point they're fighting nature?
I think, to be honest with you, doing the card thing, that actually wouldn't be a completely horrible idea.
It's like something they tried to roll out in a few stores, but it did not go mainstream at all.
Well, you have to give it time, though. I mean, you can't just do it for a month or so and then be like, okay, we're going to give up. You gotta You know,
That's
you
the
got to
problem
kind
with
of,
GameStop is they're trying to
you
get that
know,
instant gratification, and they're not willing to go. They're not willing to stay the course on anything. They're trying to find something that's going to save them. Like, you know, the minute they roll it out, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we're saved. What's up, by the way, Blue? What's up, Yobi? What's up, Boss Red? Yeah, with digital copies, you don't have to worry about the store. Yeah, dude, like me and Mickey know a lot about that. Like when Elder Scrolls Online came out with the gold edition, like Elder Scrolls Online, there was a physical edition called the gold edition. Me and Mickey both bought it. Finding this physical edition of Elder Scrolls Online was a pain in the ass. I remember we had to call multiple different stores just to find this physical game. And the only reason why me and him both wanted it was because it came with a card to download all the DLC that they had come out with, and that was the Dark Brotherhood. Oh my God, Mickey, help me! The Dark Brotherhood, Thieves Guild.
yeah.
There's two other ones. I'm like bad. Holy cow, that was years ago too.
Yeah, that was a while. That was a bit back.
But yeah, it's just GameStop needs to reinvent itself, become an arcade or a PC hub or something. That's one thing I actually thought about, Boss Red, was GameStop needs to stop being a retail store, and they need to go down the road of perhaps becoming an experience. Like you said, becoming an arcade, like going in and playing some of the old school stand-up games, or like we've seen some of the mini arcade machines through Arcade Up, or Arcade One, whoever's selling them. But also it'd be a good place to like, dude, like I don't even think GameStops anymore have kiosks that you can try some of the games in. But also it really needs to like, cause when you go to certain GameStops anymore, it's like any self-righteous person who plays video games does not really like, you can go into a GameStop where you're dealing with somebody that is just there to collect a paycheck and they have no passion for gaming whatsoever. And if you try to ask them questions, you'll literally get a like, I don't know. Like I will never forget the day when I had I actually like to have fun with GameStop employees. I went and bought a PS4 Pro just because I wanted the Star Wars edition PS4 Pro. I loved the Star Wars edition PS4, and it was a PS4 Pro. I wanted to get it. And I had the Xbox One X already at home. I walked in there and I asked the guy, I was like, convince me to buy the PS4 Pro. And he looked me dead in the eyes. He's like, well, it's a more powerful console compared to the Xbox. And I was like, what? Did you just get stoned or something? Like, I was like, I even confronted him. I'm like, why would you lie to me? And he's like, how am I lying? I'm like, dude, the Xbox One X has more power than the PS4 Pro. Why would you lie to me? Is it because you're a PlayStation fan or you don't know? And like, he did tell me, he's like, I just don't like Xbox. And I'm like, okay, there you go. You're not selling me a product based on being an actual truthful person. You're being deceitful, and you're actually willing to lie through your teeth to somehow support them. Like, PlayStation does not know you exist. They are not going to be like, Steve helped us screw Xbox over today. Send him a check in the mail. They don't know you exist. Calm down. And he even told me, he's like, well, you've already made up your mind, obviously. And I told him to his face, I'm buying it because it's a Star Wars edition, like PS4, dude. Like, I know I know the difference between the two consoles. So please, like, dude, I even told him, I'm like, that's not right to lie to somebody. So I had GameStop dude try to talk me out of own. Dude, yes, like that's the one problem we run into going into GameStop, or even a lot of electronic stores, is even these guys will try to sit there and console warrior, like, don't buy this one, you want to get this one. But I already own that one. Well, get the upgraded version of it. You don't want that one. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah, Boss Red, I hit the yes, Blue, right? It's like you're almost hazed anywhere. Like, I would like to buy the Xbox, please. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Oh my god. Like it's like you almost like you're waiting for somebody to confront you and be like, "I need to call your mother." Why? You're trying to buy an Xbox. Okay. Okay. So, let's kind of go into the next subject here. This is going to be a fun one because this is something that me and Mickey talk about when we play Suicide Squad. And we're all familiar with the Arkham trilogy, like Batman, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight.
Great games.
Great games. Now let's get one thing straight. Those games were done by Rocksteady, who is owned by WB Games. And yes, they are basically right now currently doing Suicide Squad and going, like, let's face it, whether you guys love it or not, WB Games loves games as a service right now. So it's not like they have the freedom that Xbox gives their developers sometimes in making what they want. They gotta do what they're told. And so Rocksteady kind of had to do their own thing by creating Suicide Squad. But two of the founders, Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill, they were, I guess they were two of the co-founders of Rocksteady before it got, consumed by WB Games and then got put into the situation that it is now. And they decided to start 100 Star. So now there is a rumor that their new studio, 100 Star, and Xbox have reached an agreement on a new single-player action-adventure game. They are not stating what this game is about. They're not telling us anything at all. They're not hinting that it's going to be towards a comic book or whatever. They're just stating that there is a possibility, according to the leaks and rumors that are flooding around on the internet, that these individuals were approached by Xbox to create a game. Now, we could sit here and talk about all day long about what we would like to see, but let's honestly just talk about the fact that these individuals obviously have a pedigree in creating a really good beat 'em up style game that can definitely be centered very easily around any comic book style character. Now, it just comes down to like Mickey, what do we want them to do? Chat, kind of get involved on this, please. Let's keep the conversation rolling. Do we want to see them do another game? Like I don't think they're going to do Batman or WB, because anything that's like DC oriented, I think like WB is going to have like a death clutch on it. Could we see them potentially, do you think a new studio could flip the bill to get licensing for a Marvel game? Or do we potentially go down the road of them doing a completely new IP, something, I don't want to say original, but to me, like, on the scale of Batman Arkham, but not centered around any established IP, whether it's a comic book IP, what have you, and go down the road of creating a new experience for us to all enjoy, while they definitely hopefully embrace the pedigree that they're really well known for, and that's creating really great combat style games. What do you think, Mickey?
Well, in my opinion, I mean, I think it's probably going to be just a new IP, but if they did Marvel, that would be cool, because clearly Marvel hasn't had they haven't been doing very well, I guess, creating a good solid game. Especially, a single person,
Okay.
Single player, type game. So clearly they know how to do it. And I am excited because if they do make a new one, it's going to be great. I think it's going to be good. I think because of, the way they're thinking and how they did the Arkham series, just great, just a, good, clean games, great fighting, great story. I think they'll be able to put together a really good game. If they did go the Marvel route, I would be excited to see that too, because I'd be excited that they're actually going to put out something that I think is going to be, fun. Again, an upgrade over, what the other studios have been putting out for Marvel, which, obviously hasn't been great. I liked Avengers, but I think they are, kind of tiptoeing around perfect, but it would definitely be an upgrade over what we've seen. So if they do their own IP, I'm good with that. If they do Marvel, I'd be great with that too. And like you said, I don't know if they're going to be able to do DC because of WB, but the first thing that popped in my head was Spawn. But
but yeah, Dark Horse Comics, they're under. But wait
DC,
a minute,
so
I think actually, ooh,
isn't Spawn under DC? That's something to look up. But that was the first thing that came to my mind.
he doesn't belong to the same comic book house as Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman. Blah, blah. Is Spawn a DC? Is Spawn Marvel or DC?
Oh, he's part of the Image Comics lineup of characters.
Yeah,
So he doesn't belong to DC or Marvel.
Yeah, but that's where there is one guy who bought. Now I'm fat fingering Dark Horse Comics. See, I remember Embracer Group. Congratulations, you're a winner. Embracer Group owns Dark Horse Comics, which has ties to which actually has ties to Spawn, if memory serves me right. They've owned them since about March of 2022. We know that Embracer Group is hard up for money. So that would be interesting. Like if we were to throw on our tinfoil hats. Yeah, even Boss Red, Spawn is Image Comics. Blue actually said that Deadpool would be a good one.
Yes, Deadpool would be a good one.
Arnie would I would bet on an original IP. Existing IP would need to be licensed. Yes and no. It depends on where they wanted to get that IP, because we can't forget that technically Xbox has a large amount of IP now with Activision. And that kind of goes back to what Blue said with Deadpool, because the last Deadpool game was done by Activision. And I think that there is some IP stuff that goes on with Deadpool when it comes to Activision. So Deadpool would be one of those ones that would be easy to pull. For me, it just comes down to when you do Marvel games or stuff that, like, look at what happened to Telltale Games. They spent themselves into the proverbial hole by constantly doing licensed games. Walking Dead, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future. They did a ton of licensed games, and they found out that literally spent them into a hole, because they like the money that they would have to shell out for some of these. There's a good one, Boss Red. If Embracer owns Dark Horse, I'd be trying to get Conan. Dude, a Conan the Barbarian game?
Well, but they've got the Conan game, and that's what it's based on.
No, not the Conan MMO.
Well, that's what that's based on is Conan.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, but the MMO didn't really. We're talking about a single player experience, like kind of similar to
single. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, with
right.
Anthem,
Okay,
with
Arkham,
Arkham Asylum in them. Like, could you imagine like the combat mechanic? Like, don't get me wrong, I know you loved the Conan MMO, but could you imagine the difference in the combat styles, especially choosing different weapons, different combat styles? That would be an interesting one for Conan. But Yeah, that's
Okay,
where
I could see it. I
yeah,
could
I could
see it.
see it. Like that's what I mean. Like that's what the discussion is here for. I mean, what could they pull out of the Activision catalog? What could they get for if they wanted to go for a licensed IP? What could they get on the cheap? Because let's face it, this is a brand new studio. They're even though that these two gentlemen are very pedigreed in the development world and being able to make really good games of this nature, like they're not over here probably sitting on like a large cachet of money. And, even with Xbox, if Xbox was to partner with them and to write them a check to be able to afford something, it's more like being strategic and definitely getting an IP that definitely turns heads, but also at the same time doesn't like break the bank. Makes sense.
Hmm.
So, yeah, definitely there's a lot to explore on this. Now, let's also go down one road. Like, there's a lot of speculation on exclusivity. I'm going to be honest right now. Xbox is one of these companies that definitely would rather see a return on investment versus trying to appease the console warrior shenanigans. Like, I'm going to say it right now. To me, the Xbox console does have an identity. And it's a total different 180 identity from its competitor PlayStation. And to me, the identity of the Xbox is more community driven than it is exclusive games driven. Like when I think of Xbox, I could name exclusive games, but for me, it's the community and just how the brand embraces its community, and just stuff like that. Like, I'm not being a shill over here, but it's just for me, you know, when we see a large amount of backlash towards certain stuff in the Xbox brand, they seem very they actually do try to respond and acknowledge like what's going on rather than like in certain cases with other brands it's like this is what we're doing, take it or leave it.
Hmm.
So exclusives are anti-consumer. Yeah, we could definitely you see that's the funny part if you really look at it. Technically they are, because anything that inhibits your choice as a consumer technically is anti-consumer. Um like, it's we see car companies do all this stuff all the damn time, and just how many, like all cars drive on four tires. You can go to practically any restaurant and get a damn burger or chicken wings. Um, like, it, yeah, like we could yeah, definitely. I would like to say I would definitely like to say that, can like give people the choice based on what they prefer, and what they're looking for in the hardware versus trying to play the shenanigans of, you know, it's one thing if your own first party studios are creating games for you and they're exclusive, but when you're like trying to money hat third party developers and publishers to create content for you because apparently your studios don't know how to get outside the box of creating a certain style of game, that's where I just really like I'm never going to get up in arms, and that's where could we say that this game is going to be potentially multiplat? Do you think this developer is going to take the chance of making an exclusive game as their first game ever? And like, let's face it, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but we know Xbox is the smaller install base. So unless by some chance Xbox really starts turning some heads with the Call of Duty stuff that's going to be taking place in the next few weeks and the next few months, definitely, uh, let's just say, like, is it worth this developer for their first game to take the risk of making a game exclusive on the smaller installer base? Or do you see them going multi-plat, Mickey?
That is the question.
See, even Blue's hitting it. They would do Game Pass. We would have it on Game Pass day one, where other people got to probably shell out $60-$70 for it.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I would say, probably keep it on Xbox, but I don't know. Maybe they will expand it, because it would help them make more money, but because if they're obviously dealing with Microsoft, then there's a good chance it'll probably just stay on Xbox on Game Pass. I don't know. It's a good question though. I mean, I would say Xbox, but if they went multi-plat, then that wouldn't surprise me either.
See, Blue, one thing to touch on is I understand exclusive games are not just the only like exclusivity goes outside of gaming. Like we all know, like certain style of clothing is generally could be exclusive to somebody for a short time, and then all of a sudden you have your copycats that recreate that clothing somewhere else. And that's where it's like, let's take a look at it like the idea of like a hamburger, not to like bring up a food reference, not to like, also talking about food on podcasts is not just exclusive to other people's podcasts when we try to use food references.
Sounds delicious.
But let's talk about a burger. McDonald's makes a burger. Burger King makes a burger. But we also have our favorite sit-down restaurant that makes a really good burger. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you go to your favorite, restaurant that, can like outshine, a fast food burger any day, that's where I'm just saying it comes down to, even though it's still a burger, there's obviously a difference in a quality standard there that doesn't exist at other places. And, that's where you get like, let's look at like, and also service. When you go to certain restaurants, the amount of like the service they provide you, you could get a waiter or a waitress that is mind-blowingly, that dude was awesome, had a great attitude, made me laugh, really made me feel like that this was worth the money that I'm going to spend, especially in today's day and age when going out to eat is absolutely insanely expensive. And that's where, you can't get a Big Mac actually you can. Like, you could tell I love you, Blue, but the special sauce, like, I'm gonna probably kill the internet. The special sauce at McDonald's is Thousand Island dressing. Like,
yep.
We could order it we could go and get a double. I think, oh my God, I think at Burger King they called it the Big King instead of the Big Mac. They made their version of it. But no, I get it, like Blue. No, I really do get it though. Yeah, like McDonald's is home of let's face it, McDonald's is home of the Big Mac. Burger King is home of the Whopper. Wendy's is home of chili. I don't freaking know.
That's funny.
They throw burger in the chili. But here's the one thing we were talking about services. Let's talk about the one exclusive that Xbox has that PlayStation cannot still currently touch, and they are not in any way showing signs of trying to touch it. Game Pass. That's an exclusive. Like that is an exclusive. Being able to play first-party studio games day and date, day one on a service for $15 a month. Great.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna potentially get Call of Duty games day and date, day one. But here's the funny part. I think they're also going to be required to put it in PS Plus because of like the CMA and the FTC. I'm going to be kind of like I want everybody to brace themselves on that one, that if it shows up day and date in Game Pass, I think that they're going to be required to put it in PS Plus too. And I think that's going to be out of Xbox's or Microsoft's control, because the CMA and the FTC both had issues with how by having the Call of Duty, basically Xbox could use Call of Duty to leverage control over game subscription services, and that's where I'm pretty sure that they're going to be finagled into the situation that I don't really think that it's Call of Duty subscription. I really don't like. I really do think that the Call of Duty is going to end up in also PS Plus as well. Now the one thing I could say that makes Game Pass a little bit more appealing is Game Pass is going to also have some of the older Call of Duty titles that I don't think are available on PlayStation, because Xbox brought a lot of the Xbox 360 Call of Duty games forward, even helped get the servers running better. So Xbox is definitely the home for Call of Duty. But I'm really curious on what kind of battle Xbox is getting ready to put up with using Call of Duty to potentially get some of the player base to go over to from PlayStation to Xbox. Something we're going to talk about next week, because, you know, when you find out the numbers of exactly how many people still play, like, you know, out of all the people that play Call of Duty, how many of them are still on PlayStation? It's absolutely insane. So Sony turned that. It's not that they turned the deal down. It's the fact that, this is what everybody needs to remember. Even though they did turn that deal down, they did sign an agreement for Call of Duty specifically, after the whole thing went down. And the other situation is there is a representative of the CMA that it's kind of like a mediator. Anything they do involving Activision, Call of Duty, and a lot of the big stuff that's over there in the Activision Blizzard, pool, the umbrella of companies that they have, they do have to go through the CMA liaison, and they have to say, is this okay? And the liaison has to sign off on it. Otherwise, they find themselves dragged right back in before the Consumer Markets Authority over in the UK. And if that happens, the FTC will be right there with the pitchforks and torches, ready to help the CMA start dismantling. They don't want to do anything to piss off the CMA and ramp up the aggression from the FTC. And regardless of how we all feel, literally a bunch of suits that don't even play video games can flat out say no. All right, Base Digi, I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm telling you right now, from the way the FTC and the CMA acted, if all PlayStation has to do is cry about it, and I really think that they would be forced into that situation. Guys, Xbox was specifically told. That's why they said they needed to bring Call of Duty to other streaming platforms, and they signed all those deals, because the big concern is Xbox is going to monopolize what they are referring to as game subscription services. And so Xbox, this is one of those things where if I really do think that there's potential, you're going to see Call of Duty in PS Plus. Call me out on it. You know what? How about this? I'm not an influencer. I'm not a leaker. I'm not like other people on Twitter that said Call of Duty isn't even coming to Game Pass and they were freaking wrong. I can own up to just saying this is what I think. If I'm wrong, hey, cool. You know what the funny part is? I can at least admit that I don't have a proper crystal ball. That's what I mean. They gave that to Ubisoft. Yeah, Ubisoft is one of those things where it comes down to there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I think that I really don't I think Xbox is willing to go out there and say that it's going to come to Xbox Game Pass first, but I do see them potentially maybe not advertising the fact that it's also going to show up other places. Yeah, cloud streaming. But it like I said, I'm I'm one of those that I'm waiting to see, but I do kind of think that if if PlayStation screams foul or anybody screams foul, Xbox would have to essentially appease the powers that, like, as much as we don't like the CMA and the FTC, if the CMA and the FTC say, nope, put it in PlayStation Plus, you think they're going to blow a $70 billion deal? No, they're just going to say, well, that sucks. All right, put it in PS Plus. See, that's the crappy part. And that's one thing that got me kind of booed off of a different podcast is I warned everybody, these consumer advocacy groups like the FTC and the CMA, they don't approve deals. They let them go through, but you never get that like stamp of approval. It's always, if it's like when we'll let the deal go through, but if you ever do anything we don't like, we'll drag your ass right back into court and we will sue the pants off of you. And if we win, we will make you divest. And divesting in the corporate world is bad because that means you have been told by a judge to start selling off parts of your company to divest it. And that's the last thing you want to have happen. So that's why they had to give cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft. That's why they had to sign all these deals with Nintendo, Ubix or whoever. Like there was a couple streaming platforms. And that's why I think they did that because they wanted to show they weren't going to use Call of Duty but to monopolize. Well, let's see. But yeah, well, we can go into it. Let's have some fun. Let's type this in. Type that in there.
What's going on, Phil?
I was just reading something real quick because it's
Okay.
Right here. Right here, videogameschronicle.com, published March 8th, 2023. During their whole thing, Microsoft confirms it will let Sony put Call of Duty on PS Plus on day one. Streaming and subscription parity is included as part of the company's 10-year offer. I think that was the offer that was rejected by PlayStation. And that's where I don't know exactly what the new terms of the agreement that they signed with PlayStation, but I'm pretty sure that the deal may have been modified, but it's that parity clause that came up a lot. And that's one of the things that Xbox was going for that really kind of got the parity thing out, was because for years, PlayStation has been leveraging exclusive maps, exclusive skins, exclusive game modes, and even exclusive XP boosts for the PlayStation players that play Call of Duty on PlayStation. And that was part of the parity that Xbox wanted to get rid of all the exclusive stuff that PlayStation has been using to leverage to get one up on Xbox as the platform to play Call of Duty on. But since that whole parity thing was thrown around a lot, I think PlayStation even claimed they wanted to make sure there was parity on their side. Like they didn't want the game running better on Xbox than it did on PlayStation. They want the game to run equally as well. They also wanted parity that if a bug occurs on the PlayStation side, they wanted the technicians that were responsible for fixing the game to show as much priority as fixing the game on PlayStation as they would Xbox. There was a lot of stuff that took place during the FTC trial. And that's where parity was one of those big concerns when it came to Call of Duty. And I really do feel that word parity is going to have a lot of influence on exactly how Call of Duty is leveraged to gain interest into the Xbox brand. So I don't know, Drew. Like I said, we'll all see what happens, but I know, like, I can already see it right now, the PlayStation logo showing, the PS Plus logo showing up, and to me, it's just one of those where I like, that's my prediction, and it's not me trying to like hate on Xbox or anything like that. It's me just trying to be a realist that, at least from what I read when I was covering the FTC and the CMA stuff, I really do feel that word parity is going to have a lot of weight in exactly, because, you know, it's like the idea of parity is equal. So if Xbox gets it in a subscription service, PlayStation gets it in a subscription service. That's parity. So I'm curious on how that's going to unfold. But you know what? Like I said, you know what? How about this? You know, we'll try to cook up a way to have fun that if I'm wrong, we'll like go on social media and we'll let Mickey, like, me and Mickey will go find a dunk tank or something like that, and I'll let Mickey dunk tank me or something, and we'll put it all over social media. We'll have fun. We'll have fun like, oh, you're wrong. You suck. And we'll have fun with it. Because that's all it is a conversation. So definitely, you know, we'll have some fun with that. Like, we'll have some ideas. Hit me up on social media if I'm wrong. Like, at me, be like, oh, Centurion, you suck, Phil. And then if they start going on, and they're like, oh, you suck, Phil, all of a sudden Phil Spencer is going to be like, what the fuck did I do this time?
That's funny.
But anyways, all right. Man, if that wasn't controversial, let's talk about what really is tying some people in a knot. So, Ubisoft. In my opinion, one moment they're doing great. We got Star Wars Outlaws announced. We've got Assassin's Creed Shadows announced. Ubisoft is not as hyperbolically focused on games as a service as they once were. They're starting to want to definitely keep single player games as a viable option. They did cancel, I think that like didn't they were doing a games as a service game based off of Wildlands and The Division. Even though The Division was already a games as a service style game, I think they were trying to do some kind of a spinoff, but the Division thing, I think, flunked out. They just recently said that the Wildlands game, like Wildlands Heartland or whatever, also got nixed. So it seems like they're going all in with this new game called X Defiant. I haven't tried it, but it appears that Ubisoft...
PC game, though.
No, it's on console.
Is it?
Yeah, I see the advertisements. I saw somebody, I think Aiming Down Sights, was somebody on my friends list was playing X Defiant on their Xbox. I've seen the advertisement on Xbox for it too. Yeah, it's another free to play game. Oh, right on. And so that's okay. So this is where it gets weird. 1 minute Ubisoft is taking 2 steps forward and they decide to go 1 step back. this is a little weird to me. Yeah, X Defiant is free to play. Yes, Blue. Yes. And so we're all familiar with Rainbow Six Siege.
We
The game's
certainly
about
are.
9 years old now. Me and Mickey played the hell out of that game when it first came out for like, I know at least the first 2 or 3 seasons, getting all the operators. We even went through Operation Health, where nothing like saying our game is broken by having a season called Operation Health. We're trying to fix this shit. When we had, oh my god, who was the one that got the name? Who was the chick that got the female character that got known as Broken Hitbox?
Oh, oh shit! What was her name? It was. Yeah, I know who you're talking about,
It was the
though.
redheaded girl with like the
Yeah.
ponytail. I forget, and
Mm-hmm.
I know she shot like a spike or something like that out of her gun. Maybe I was wrong. I don't. All
Dude,
I
I have
know
to
is
go through
like
all those players, but
I
yeah,
know
I
that
remember
I
that.
remember people would call her Broken Hitbox because her hitbox, you could shoot her in the head, it wouldn't even work right. um, there or those moments where you load into the game and you see the guy doing the glitch to like have like invincibility, and as he's trying to do the glitch all through, I remember when Jeremy would play with us and he'd be like, dude, this guy's trying to glitch the game to get invincibility. He's like, nah. And he would walk up and just kill this guy while he's trying to rig the game for invincibility and just off him right off the get-go. And
Mm-hmm.
oh my god! And then all of a sudden, and then after they started instituting bans for doing stuff like that, it made it to where like, well, how do we punish the cheaters now?
I remember that shit. That was funny.
So or Valkyrie throwing the cameras off the map where you could watch the entire map by
Mm-hmm.
by glitching the camera out of the map, and then all of a sudden you're able to watch the entire play area with one camera. So, anyways, many great times playing Rainbow Six Siege. I will never forget the day we watched this guy Jeremy that we play with get like he got shot randomly by some dude, and when they give you the kill cam, it shows this guy loading his gun and just randomly shooting at a wall and hitting him accidentally. Oh my god, so many accidental deaths in that game. Um so what we're getting at with this game, apparently Ubisoft has decided to go down the road of wanting to institute a premium subscription model into a 9-year-old game. With this subscription model, I guess it has something to do with the battle pass and cosmetics and stuff like that. But it's more like, so you realize that your games as a service style games, the ones that you have left, because X Defiant looks like it's like one of the only ones that really made it through development, that you're going to start almost predatorily preying on one of the bigger communities that you have in your games as a service style games, and that's the Rainbow Six Siege community. And this has the Rainbow Six Siege up in a tiffle, and that's where it almost like you want to open the conversation now that we already know that there's single player games. I hope they don't try to somehow shoehorn a a subscription into those games, because that'd be weird on a single player level. I can understand like a season pass and stuff like that, but at least when it comes to games like Ghost Recon Wildlands or Ghost Recon in general, we'll just say Ghost Recon in general, or The Division, could we potentially see future iterations of these games have a subscription model put in them? You think, Mickey?
Not, and it probably wouldn't be wise for them to follow through with the subscription on Rainbow Six either, considering how old it is. And I mean, people spent a lot of money on all the different characters and all that garbage that you can buy. So
Oh my god.
that's just kind of overkill to me.
I remember when Rainbow Six Siege decided to go down the road of putting in loot boxes, but they were like loot bags, and you could buy some to get items, or you could play the game and rack up like points, and every couple of rounds you would get like a free loot bag. um you remember them, right? They were like the little black bags, and the top would tear off of them, and it would show you what you got.
Yeah, I think I remember those.
Yeah, like we played for years. I think that was the reason why we got out of Rainbow Six Siege, because it was starting to go down that road of, oh my god, is this like starting to turn into like Overwatch? What's going on here? The Division 2, and that's the other thing too. Like, if they're willing to, Drew Blisky kind of just hit the nail on the head. If Ubisoft is willing to implement a subscription into a 9-year-old game, well, sky's the limit at this point. What's to mean that they can't do that in the Division 2?
Again, hopefully they think twice about that, because that would not be in their best interest. It would be to make money, yes, but you're just going to do what they're doing right now, which is rattle the wasp nest, for one, play group, which is the Rainbow Six guys.
I know,
and
yeah, the guys in the boardroom are saying we could put in a subscription model, and if all X amount of these players buy the subscription, we'll make this much money. And it's like, but what happens if you piss off a lot of people and they just leave the game, and then you lose money?
The it's with a lot of these, and that's disappointing, because I actually really like Ubisoft, and that would be really disappointing in my opinion. So I hope that that's something that they take a look at, and realize that it's not the best of ideas. Hopefully they don't get too super greedy.
Well, I guess according to the thing that they put it out, this membership will cost $10 a month or $80 a year, and they're saying that,
Yeah, you'll get like little gifts here and there. I don't want little gifts. I don't want to pay extra freaking money.
I'm on Steam alone. The game is peaking at about 82,000 concurrent players in the last 24 hours of when the article I'm reading. That was 2 days ago when this article was written. So that's nothing to balk at like on Steam alone.
No, that's still quite a few people.
If we could say like there's still a significant amount of people also playing on console, we can honestly say that you have like 100,000 people a day playing Rainbow Six Siege. And so where is it at in here? They actually went on to say, like, I think they're supposed to roll it out. Yep. Exclusive monthly rewards. Enroll by June 27th to get the first drop. It looks like, I don't even know what the hell a Bravo pack is. And Ash, that's her name. She was broken hip on. So they're giving you Ash's epic bundle. They're giving you an Ash skin. So it's like, speaking of broken hitbox,
that's funny.
10 times battle level up. I don't know if that says snaps or something.
I'm assuming that's like part of the battle, like a battle pass.
Yeah, so by having the membership, you automatically you get 10 levels in the battle pass. And then you get like a operator voucher. They're calling something Bravo pack, so I'm assuming those are the loot boxes.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
They're giving you 600 R6 credits. R6 credits used to be the original way to buy gear in the game. And then also you have some kind of yeah, it's just saying exclusive skins. But hold on, they haven't advertised, and they're also this character I'm not familiar with, Warden. Apparently, Warden legendary weapon skin. Hmm. So definitely, it's like yeah, over 4,500 credits in value every month. But that's it. Like value is predetermined on, if somebody like, hey, we gave you this keychain that goes on your gun that looks like this hideous little frog. Well, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, like I said, Ubisoft 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's like, hey, we're gonna do Star Wars Outlaws. We're gonna do Assassin's Creed Shadows, and by the way, we're putting a subscription into Rainbow Six Siege. Like that was definitely like a what the F moment for me for sure.
Oh, I mean, that just means it gives me more reason not to play Rainbow Six. So
I know, which is so sad, dude, with how much time we've put in that. But actually,
Mhm.
guys, I'm actually I've been grounded from Rainbow Six Siege by my wife. She hated the Rainbow Six Siege Rage. We called it Rainbow Six Rage instead of Rainbow Six Siege. Because like how everything could be quiet, it's peaceful, and then all of a sudden you hear someone screaming F-bombs,
Obscenities, yeah.
obscenities, screaming, yelling, or he's right there, he's right there. Where is there? He's over there. And you get people left, right, like over there is not a location.
I remember those. Oh my god,
Oh my God,
that shit was funny.
people arguing over proper call outs. I remember that. They're like, I remember Jeremy would like,
Complain about it all the time.
over there
That's not a
is not
direction.
a call out. You got to let us know. He's by the tree. He's by the bush. He's by that green box with the yellow stripe.
We're like, dude, we don't play this game as much as you do. We're calling it out the way we see it.
Or you're in a room with 4 freaking doors and somebody screams, he's coming through the door. Which freaking Oh my God. Dude, or the day we'll never forget when Mickey's kid actually downed him and a whole bunch of craziness ensued, and that whole thing, and like, yeah, somebody tried to like display their manhood to Mickey on Rainbow Six Siege. His kid happened to be in the room and he threatened to take his Xbox away.
No, I threatened to throw his Xbox out and destroy it.
And like straight up, it was like, he's just like, I was just a bystander in that situation. And it's like, well, you were there, so you're a victim of circumstance. Oh my God. All right. Let's have fun. Last subject. So we've got a lot of games coming out on Xbox. This is where everybody kind of like tell me what you're excited for. Definitely put it in the chat. Let's just start here. So outside of what we know, which is coming at the end of this week, Hypercharge, me and Mickey are going to be there day one. Hopefully other people want to join us. I know some other people had some other stuff come up. They had to buy a headset, and they, it is what it is. We all know that even though money does grow on trees, it doesn't really grow on trees. Actually, money's made out of blue jeans. If people, source me on that one, you can actually see it. It's got denim in it. Quote me on that one. But yeah, definitely we're ready for Hypercharge. I pre-ordered the game last week. Mickey accidentally pre-ordered the game today. I had to have him tell me the story on that one. He was just checking the price of the game, but somehow he actually went through the whole deal and just pre-ordered it. So there's that. And there another game that you would have to buy into that is coming out right now. It came out May 28th for those that have the pre-ordered the deluxe edition of the game. I am not one of those. I'm sitting back waiting. If anybody at the chat has played Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, please let me know. Are you enjoying it? Because that's actually on me and Mickey's radar. We're a little bit curious. Obviously, I think it was done by Ilphonic.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let's find out. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. Let's type in, because I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it was Ilphonic. Yep, Ilphonic and TerraVision Games. So yeah, Ilphonic. Ilphonic was the guys that did Friday the 13th. They also did Ghostbusters, the like Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Mickey actually bought that game to play with me. I've had a lot of fun playing Spirits Unleashed with both Mickey and Invader Gaming. Definitely a great Ghostbusters game if you're into the Ghostbusters universe. And that's where I'm hoping they really knock this one out of the park as well with Killer Clowns. I think I did a review of that. I'll have to check that one out, Arnie, because I definitely have. It's on my radar. It looks fun, but it's kind of like I don't want like I liked Friday the 13th, but it wasn't. I didn't have as much fun with Friday the 13th as other people did. Jason it was like, I don't know, maybe because I had the misfortune of playing after people got really good at the game, and I had like 5 people like as me playing Jason, I had 5 people basically hunting me, and they would run. One person would run out of the bush, stab you in the back, run back in the bush. As you turned and looked at them, another person would run out of a bush, stab you in the back. And it turned into this game until literally these 5 people killed me. So they were all cooperatively beating Jason's ass. And that's where, at least for me on mine, we've got Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is on my radar. We've got Hypercharge, which I've already pre-ordered. And I'm just kind of like looking at the list because there's other ones like Multiverse just came out, but I've already seen a lot of bad reviews circulating around Multiverse. Even though it is a free to play, it's definitely not being, there's not a lot of rave reviews about it. I'm kind of looking at all the other one, like you've got a whole bunch of other stuff that's being released, but at least when it comes to Game Pass, you got Moving Out 2, Humanity, and also on May 30th, we get Lords of the Fallen. I own Lords of the Fallen. It's in my backlog. The only person here who has played Lords of the Fallen is Mickey. Mickey, tell me about it. What you think Lords of the Fallen? Is it definitely worth a play in Game Pass? And also, I sent you the same list of games that are coming out. Obviously, outside of Hypercharge and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, is there anything else that really kind of caught your eye, or just kind of like give me your 2 cents?
In that list of games, there wasn't really anything else that I saw that I'm really familiar with, so nothing that probably I'm interested unless I take a look at it. But as of right now, it's nothing really that I'm too interested in aside from the Killer Clowns game and obviously Hypercharge. But Lords of the Fallen is fun. It's like to me it's like a lesser Elder Ring, but it's still a good game. So it would definitely be worth playing on Game Pass. So I would give it a try if you're into that style game, because we played it for a while. I haven't beaten it, but it's definitely still a game in the library. But yeah, it's definitely a game I would.
I still need to play it. I think I turned it on to see the character builder and kind of go through that, but I definitely need to play the game, but right now I've been having like I guess the first person shooter FOMO going through my veins. Just recently beat Avatar. As you see here on the screen. Um, Finally hammered that game out. I was able to max level my character, had an absolute blast playing it, did all the missions I could. Now I'm like sitting back waiting for the DLC that's supposed to roll out this summer and then the other DLC in the fall. Um, and then I moved on to that to Shadow Warrior. So,
Hmm.
okay, Arnie. My next game is Injustice 2 Legendary Edition from 2018. It's on, yeah, it's on sale both on Steam
Injustice
and
2 is
Xbox
awesome.
for a good, for yeah. Technically, Microsoft has Killer Instinct, but the funny part is, Injustice 2 actually appealed to me more than Killer Instinct. Um, I've played Injustice 2. I I think I went through like 3/4 of the story and I kind of got squirreled and I need to do oh, okay. Yeah, I got to finish the story for Injustice 2, but I will definitely say Injustice is one of those games that at least in my opinion are really worth it cuz there's a lot there,
Yeah,
especially with
Injustice 2 is a good game. I like it too.
the legendary editions where you get like the extra characters, I think like Hellboy, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's a lot there especially for that legendary edition. Um let's see. Oh, Drew, I did not know that Killer Instinct is free on Steam. I did not know that. And the blue one. I'm curious about Shimigami Tensei. I'm assuming 5 Vengeance. Shimigami Tensei V. I'm gonna be upfront. I didn't get into a lot of those. I know you are like really in tune with the Eastern style games. I know whenever you're hanging out with us, you're either playing a lot of them or you're watching Crunchyroll. I need to really get into that style of gaming. And the funny part is about that is I actually have Tales of Arise. I also have Naruto Bladestorm, like the Bladestorm trilogy I need to play. And I also have Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and The Breakers. So I have actually a stack of games, not to mention numerous Final Fantasy games that I need to play. And that's where I need to get into more of that market of gaming because I keep hearing the name you just said, that Shimigami Tensei, and I'm gonna be absolutely honest, I don't know what it's about. I mean, like the name, it you just want to go around saying those 3 words because I mean it's just like it rolls off the tongue, just like Shimigami Tensei. You almost sound you almost sound like you come from a different world kind of thing. I'm educated. I could say Shimigami Tensei.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely hopefully to see some of you guys there on Hypercharge. Definitely again, I'm going to keep my eye out on Killer Clowns. Ilphonic definitely has a knack for making really great multiplayer style games that really revolve around IPs that we all love, like Friday the 13th and Ghostbusters. um, but definitely everybody. So it's right around the corner. Next week's show, we're gonna kind of like talk a little bit about what we're gonna potentially see when it comes to like, can Microsoft really turn some heads with this Call of Duty thing that they're gonna roll out with Game Pass? There is some speculation on could we potentially see Xbox actually get people to migrate over from PlayStation to Xbox for basic to make Xbox the new home for Call of Duty. We're also going to kind of speculate on what all we could potentially see when it comes to the Xbox show that's right around the corner. Then me and Mickey are going to meet up. We're going to have like a little get together here. We're going to watch the show, and then we're going to go home and take it all in. And by the way, Mickey, speaking of shows, are you interested in watching a PlayStation show?
A PlayStation show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll watch it.
So, thank you, Blue, by the way, for sending me this. So it looks like it will be tomorrow, May 30th, 6 p.m. Eastern. So that means it's going to be 3 o'clock our time. I'll tell you what, if me and you want to hop on the party chat about like 8, 9 o'clock, it should only be like a 30-minute show. Yeah, about 30, 45 minutes. And we could kind of watch the show together. And that way we can discuss it next Wednesday about like what we see, because this is PlayStation, Sony as a company just recently did like this business thing where they streamed the entire discussion about Sony, but they didn't really talk very much at all about the games. So this is going to essentially be PlayStation's roadmap for 2024 at least, on what we could see for the PlayStation brand. So I'm just saying it'd be worth a watch for sure.
Okay.
So I'll text you tomorrow about that. That way, so next week, Xbox show predictions, Call of Duty discussion, and we'll also discuss the state of play. Want to thank everybody for coming in, checking us out. We
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
every single one of you coming in
every single week
listen
too.
to the banter.
Thank you so much.
I will not be streaming the Xbox showcase. No, Drew. Actually, so check it out. This is actually Mickey's first time watching the Xbox show live. And actually, him and his wife are going to come here, and he's going to chill with me and my wife, minus the curtains that are behind me. This room is actually a lot bigger than it looks, but I use the curtains to hide it all. And this will be because Mickey normally will catch like the highlights on the show. Sometimes he'll tune into like little bits and pieces and read about it. This will be Mickey's first time actually watching the stage event from start to finish and listening to my absurd commentary in the background of being like, oh, people are going to be mad at that. Oh, people are going to be really pissed at that. Like, but definitely everybody. Yeah. Let's all tune in to the PlayStation showcase tomorrow night. Let's all keep our ears peeled on social media, and let's once again talk about it next Wednesday night, same place, same late ass time, because this is the only time me and him seem to be able to collaborate together, because we all we're like you guys. We all work way too much. So sorry if it's late. Always catch us on the replay. Thank you to every one of you once again for tuning in. Thank you, Drew Blisky, and thank you, Yobi. Yes, I try to put on a great show. Really appreciate the interaction with you guys. Appreciate everybody that wrote into the chat. State of pay. Oh,
thank you guys.
Blue woke up today and chose violence. State of pay. Oh, that's a funny one. Oh man. But all right, everybody. So till next week. Definitely let's just game civilly out there, play what we want, where we want, no matter what anybody says, and try to stay safe, because if you're in my neighborhood, shit's crazy. State of cope. We got like, man, you guys are throwing the zingers right at the end. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. And until then, everybody, it was great having you here.
Later, everybody. Have a good night.
Later.